Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave. Today we're going to be taking a look at how Man United can beat Manchester City. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Check out SofaScore, link in the description below. Anyway, it's time to dive in. The 28th game week of the Premier League season, Manchester City versus Manchester United at the Etihad. This is a humongous game for Manchester United. Humongous game. And I feel like with these types of matches, always difficult to kind of look at how they're going to be opened up, how they're going to be won and lost, because Guardiola is just so brilliant in terms of how he can tweak things and change things in these big games. And I feel like with City as well, I feel like they are just slowly getting into that kind of dominant form that we see season after season of getting there. And it's quite interesting of how they're kind of doing it and so forth, with the positioning of John Stones as well. I think that's a good one. Man United have got it all to do. They really do. So I think first and foremost, the interesting side with Man City is how dominant they've been in recent games against Manchester United at Old Trafford. And that's an interesting one. Earlier on in the season, Man United went to a 3-5-2. And City continued with their kind of 4-box-4 in midfield and completely controlled the tempo. You can see City's average position, those four players in that central area, Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva and Rodri, absolutely ran a mockery of Manchester United's team. But the important side as well for City was João Cancelo in that match was absolutely fantastic. And if United want to beat City, they need to deal with João Cancelo. In the game, he was absolutely superb. He ranked first on the pitch for touches, dribbles completed, progressive passes into the penalty area, tackles plus interceptions, shots, and was responsible for both goals. Played a really good inverted ball in for the second goal as well, and Man United simply didn't cope. So what do United need to do to beat Manchester City? Let's have a look. So tactically, I kind of expect City to play a similar type of shape and system with that midfield four. And that's a big thing for United, is that midfield four and not getting overloaded by that midfield four. What City like to do is they like to stretch it from a vertical sense with their wide players and dominate midfield. At times in that game, in the last game, Man United obviously played a three-man midfield, but City still managed to get the three players in between the lines of Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. United need to stop this. I think one of the big things with Manchester United and how they can do this, number one, is play a back five. I think in recent Premier League games against City, one of the most successful teams, Tottenham, of course, 3-2 win away from home. Tottenham were absolutely fantastic on the day, and they set up with what looked like a 3-4-3, but it was slightly different. So I think for Manchester United, setting up with a back five, four in midfield and one up front is how I would go. Tottenham appeared to be 3-4-3, but they very much were a back five. In terms of players to bring in and play, I think taking someone like Ronaldo out for this game is important, and I'll discuss why in a minute. But bringing Victor Lindelof in, moving Harry Maguire to centre back position, playing five at the back to deal with those five attackers. That is one of the big things when you play in Man City. They're going to attack with 5 or 6 players, which you need to be able to deal with. The movement, the runs, you need to play that in a very zonal way to deal with that. And I feel a back five's perfect. But also a midfield 4 really helps Spurs out. I think United have got to go with Fred in there, and then either looking at the pace of Marcus Rashford, or maybe throwing in Paul Pogba. But I think in terms of the United's midfield line, it needs to, again, be blocking those passes into midfield, but pressing at a certain point if they can sort of force Man City to play with the ball down one side of the pitch and then getting it on that. But a 5-4-1 is kind of the way that Spurs did it really well. And I think playing Bruno Fernandes as a false 9, number 2, is a real thing that Man United need to do. Cristiano Ronaldo is misfiring. His expected goals at the moment are high, but he's not taking his chances. And if we take a look at why I feel like it's got to be a false 9 or a midfielder playing in a higher position, it's of course after the performance of Harry Kane in the recent Premier League game. Grabbed himself a brace, scored another goal that was just slightly ruled offside with Kulusevski being just behind the back line. But his movement off the line, as we can see there, so important. Like, you could argue that his heat map is deeper in his own half than the opponent's half. And that movement off the line gave Spurs such a different dynamic. Son played higher as more of a deep line striker from the left-hand side, and Kulusevski held the position wide. And we can see that with the average positions. Son narrow, Kulusevski wide. That's exactly what Man United need to do. So Bruno Fernandes is the second reason why what United need to do to beat City. And I feel it's important not only to sit on Rodri in the defensive situation and block Rodri having the freedom of the park. Obviously, consequently, you might see Diaz drive forward and look to receive the ball. Fred or someone needs to step in but cover the pitch. But importantly, in the transition for Bruno Fernandes, Bruno needs to stay high as this playmaker, but getting into wide areas, getting deep on the ball, dropping off and trying to get himself turned to feed the likes of Marcus Rashford to play the Son role and be narrow and make moves in behind the opposition's backline, but also Jadon Sancho to hold the width and look to put the ball in the box. I think a big thing for Bruno as well, starting from this deeper position, getting on the ball, turning and playing forward, would allow United to get at the City back three. João Cancelo is going to provide a really high role up the pitch. Hence why United need to play this midfield 4, blocking the Cancelo getting into the space. But, for example, if he were to stay super high and get in there, the space in the transition is big for Jadon Sancho to hold that width. And I feel that is a really important thing. Not only Bruno dropping deep, feeding someone in a wide area like Jadon Sancho. The second thing United need to do, Bruno Fernandes as a false 9 against City. Back 5-4 in midfield, Bruno Fernandes as a false 9. And I think finally, the final little point there goes down to Man United with the ball. Man City, when they defend, they very much defend in a 4-4-2. They drop back into this shape. The wide players go in, the false 9s drop in. I think one of the big things for United is not only providing the width and the depth of the attack with Rashford and Sancho playing high, Bruno playing inside, but also being bold on the ball with the centre-backs. I think one of the big things that Spurs did quite well was carry the ball out from the back, draw the pressure from City, and then play through. That's something United could do. Rafa Varane, Victor Lindelof, and Harry Maguire are all good ball-playing centre-backs and can definitely be in there to do it. I think on the other side, look, if it's not Marcus Rashford playing that role, bring in Anthony Elanga, exactly the same role, that goal-scoring role of Heung-min Son, get him into those positions. We know that Victor Lindelof has got that ability to play the passes in and above defences, and I feel like that, with Elanga running in behind Diaz and Stones, could be an option. We could see Kyle Walker play at fullback, and that's something that United have targeted in recent games in the league. But I feel like having the 3 ball-playing centre-backs, giving them time on the ball, allowing them to carry out of the defence, to draw the pressure from the likes of Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva, then play through is a big avenue for Manchester United. So simply the 3 things of how to beat Manchester City in the Premier League game. Number 1, play a back 5, as Spurs did in their game, in the recent Premier League game. Play a false 9 or a forward that's going to operate off the line in obviously Harry Kane for Spurs, Bruno Fernandes for Manchester United, along with the width, created by Jadon Sancho and Anthony Elanga, maybe playing narrow. And then finally, those ball-playing centre-backs. Very, very important to beat City. If United do, hold the ball in the right areas, they do, press City high at times, as they can do in this shape, considering they have, a very mobile front 3 of Sancho, Elanga and Bruno. They could, press in this pentagon shape. When City are building up, they have to stop that as well. That's a big thing in the game. They can drop back into that 5-4-1 shape, stop the space for João Cancelo coming inside because of the amount of bodies that United should have in those areas. Basically stopping João Cancelo getting on the ball, being super aggressive on him with Jadon Sancho and Scott McTominay, and then looking for the transition. Very, very important. Big moves. And I also think with Luke Shaw as well, showed in the recent derby at the Etihad, his ability to drive inside following a switch of play is something that Chelsea did really well against City in the Champions League and have done in league games. Switch the play out, draw City's press in one side, switch the play out through the goalkeeper, and then Luke Shaw on the carry could be really important. Because as we saw in the recent Premier League game at the Etihad, Manchester United winning 2-0, having that ability to have someone to drive through, play inverted like Luke Shaw did at times with the ball at his feet, got United that second goal, which crucially won them the game. Thanks for watching, guys. Get your score predictions in the comments below. Can Man United beat Manchester City? Let's get this party started. GG's. We'll see you later.